My name is Venkataramanan Bushetti. I have 17 years of experience and I am going to share with my all accounting activities and their problems, how we can resolve this in this session. Please. Whenever we open one customer data or export or interstate sales insurance, we have to consult the IT department in the case that customer data is already listed or not with us. If it is listed, we should not allow to open a new account with that. First thing is, whenever we open a customer data, we have to take their address proofs, ROC details, list of directors, their address list, main key personnel in that company. Why? Because we are taking ROC details, list of directors. Most of the companies, what they do, they do sales from one company. They won't make payment in that company, and they go to another company saying that I have this much sales I will do from you. You give 2 crores, 3 crores. First 2-3 months they will pay correctly. Then after 4 months they will show their characters and everything. Which company will lose the money in that cases? So in that cases we have to see their P&L last 3 years. What is their turnover? If they are doing only 5 crores and taking, they will give the promises of 10 crores and everything. We should think what is the net worth of that company first of all. If you give 5 crores sales and if you do lot of problems, then company will be in the problem. Because in last one of my company, almost 2 crores lost like this only. One Bombay party cheated like again that company filed against that director. That still it is on, that court cases is going on, and we cannot take the money also in that case. So whenever we open one customer data, so if you take these precautionary steps, we can lose this type of problems in futures. Next is VAT, TIN copy, excise registration copy, and PAN number, and EOU, export oriented unit. Most of the EOU units, why we are taking certification from them is, see, we cannot bill the excise portion to them. For that they have to issue such forms like I, H to, then there will be any VAT also on that amount. So what is the credit limit also we have to fix up, say suppose 25 crores based on the turnover. Second thing is, even when the supplier, when the new supplier, when we have to open in the accounts, then we have to follow this of these below things, like what type of products they are supplying. Say suppose the types of material, how many types of material, then what type of list of directors, whether it's a SME, small medium enterprises. In as per IIT Act, most of the SME companies who cannot keep their money with us, and we have to pay within 30 to 60 days without fail. Otherwise, it will be a problem for the company. So that income tax also they will send you notices to clear their dues first. This is because of their turnover itself only 1.5 crore. If you keep say 40 lakhs or 30 lakhs with us, how they will do the business? This is the motto for this. Next is, for the service provider, whenever you open a account, these are the certain conditions you have to take care, like TDS. Say if any guy is giving supplier contract, supply of labor, it comes under contractor as per the 194C, as per the TDS section. So if he gives any bill for below 30,000, there is no problem. We won't deduct any TDS. So if this crosses, if your bill crosses more than 30,000 rupees, then we have to deduct the TDS percent 2%. And as then when you are making a payment to rent 10% up to 1,80,000 rupees, there is no TDS. If it is crosses 1,80,000 above, from the 10% you have to deduct. Even interest also, as per section 194A, up to 5,000 is only eligible, not deduct TDS on 5,000. If this crosses 5,000 rupees, 10%. And plant and supply of plant and ministry, and we have to deduct 2%. Sorry, 2%. This is what threshold limit is 1,80,000. Commissions. See, if you are not selling any product directly, through some sub-agents. Say you will, some of the cases like Kerala and everything, you cannot achieve. In that cases, you can appoint some commission agent. Through them, you can sell. For that, we can promise if you do this sale on raw material cost, whatever we sold products, and that amount will be some royalty 4% whatever we pay. When you are making that commissions, see if it is gross more than 5,000, then we have to pay 10%. We have to deduct. So professional charges like a consultants. Say when you go to lawyer and you require some some advice from them. Say some of the samples and some of the chemicals. You will send to your outside party for certain reasons and services from them. So whenever it goes more than 30,000 per annum, you have to pay 10% per annum. One more thing is transportation. So if transport provider is having PAN number, then you need not to deduct any tax if they have PAN number. As per salary also, as per income tax, some structures are there as per 192. So we have to calculate whenever salary is there, then accordingly we have to pay, we have to deduct this one. And in this main reason, so wherever the PAN is not available, that system has to calculate at the rate of 20% and pay on the 7th. So one more thing, so while creating employee database, so what is the employee name, what is the age, gender, what is income tax given. So for a salary up to the limit of 2 lakhs is nil, up to 2 lakh to 5 lakhs rupees 10,000, 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs is 20,000 rupees, like 10 lakhs above 30% plus service tax possible. For senior citizen, so up to 2 to 5 lakhs nil, and 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs 20%, 10 lakhs above plus 30% service tax. So this is the limits prescribed by the income tax. So when you computate any salary income, so if it is grosses more than, after taking this consideration as per ATC up to 1 lakh, PF as well as LIC and PPF, ELSS, and that means mutual funds, ELSS, equity linked savings schemes, tuition fees and house repayment, not house interest, and ATT, only 15,000 rupees for insurance, what your medical insurance premium. If senior citizens are there, up to 20,000 rupees is exempted. ADG, that is whatever the donations what you are paying to Prime Minister Fund, Cyclone Relief Fund, whatever, up to 50,000, up to donation, that also is eligible, subject to the 100%, whatever prescribed by the IT. Section 24, that is interest on your housing loan, up to 1.5 lakh rupees, it is exempted. So rent also while calculation, so certain rules are there. Whatever rent is receiving, say if the person is staying in Bangalore, that on basic only 25% has to be taken care. On basic only 25%. If the person is staying in metros like Bombay, New Delhi, Madras like that, 40% has to be taken care. Then second thing is actually what is paying rent. Minus 10% of his basic. What actually is getting, whichever is less, that has to be considered, and if from salary computation it has to be reduced. Then conveyance, if it is getting, then 800 rupees. In case handicapped up to 1250, if he is using tri-wise basically. Medical allowances, if it is giving under that code salary structure, up to 1,250 rupees per month will be deducted. So even though after calculation all these things, then taxable income is going more than this one, then this structure has to be taken care. Then up to 2 lakhs is 0, 2 lakh to 1,000 that is 30,000, up to 5 lakhs to 10 lakh that is 20%, that is 1 lakh. If say suppose one person is 11 lakhs is getting, after adjusting all these things, then his rate of taxes will be, he has to pay to the government minus 2 lakhs, then 8. So 3 lakh is 30,000, then 5 lakh at the rate of 10%, 1 lakh. So 1 lakh 30 plus 3%, that is 39. 1 lakh 69 is a tax payable to the government. So it has to be divided in particular equated installments for 12, has to be paid on next to 7th of every month. So come to the next minute. So preparation of invoice. Whenever we prepare invoice based on the customer wise product cost and quantity, see marketing people nowadays they go based on the quantity wise, they fix some prices. So accordingly they have to charge on that. So so today 2 kgs is supplying, whenever whatever the rate is available on the day, we cannot bill like that. So tomorrow you won't pay that amount. So it will be a problem for accounts people. So that again they have to issue the credit problem for that in future. To avoid that one, what are the contract with them? What is the particularly take that particular contract according to the product base, then we have to build that product. And whenever we are preparing any invoice, what is the credit limit fixed by to the party? Say as earlier we discussed, see when the party his credit limit is only 50 lakhs, he didn't clear that old dues. Again if you are going to another 30 lakhs, then you are going to be in problem. Then he has to collect that first money, whatever again. So first he has to give that money, then it's simply so that whoever the preparation of invoice, he has to take care of this point first. So he has to immediately invoice, he has to inform to the manager so that this problem. So we should stop even according to the marketing department. So this should tell accordingly. And based on the product, and the excise also has to be booked. Some of the product excise is exempted for 4% and 5%. Some of the products is having, most of the things 12.36. In some of the cases for deemed exports and everything, if they give the certification and bonds to us, so we won't give like EOU like that, we won't bill anything excess to them. At the same time, VAT also we won't bill, but subject to the submission of I and H forms. For exports and everything, I and H. So one more thing, when you sell a product to interstate, that is, if you are selling a product to the customer, those who are living in Bombay, so when the person is giving C form, so you supposed to charge only 2%, you cannot charge 14%. Nowadays, now 14.5%. So yeah, we have to collect this 2% only from them. But at the same time, C forms also has to be collected within 2 to 3 months. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Next point is the sales during in the same state. So some of the products is having 5%, 5.5%, 14.5%. You have to see what is that one exactly. So accordingly that we have to charge the 5.5% or 14.5%. So next thing is creation of codes for trial balance. Most of the, because I have experience of PeopleSoft as well as Citrix and everything, and Citrix basically it's like a tally only, but in PeopleSoft it's depending on the code system, and for each product wise revenue item they will create each product wise. Say raw material for revenue items, all it starts from 10001. It is one revenue code. Say alpha Damascene 1, alpha Damascene, this is beta Damascene 1002. So one more thing, while creation of these codes, we have to take care of certain things like that, where this revenue got generated, which machine got generated. For that machine also that code should be there. When you take MIS, it will be helpful in future for us. Second, third thing also, this revenue, who is getting more? One of the marketing executives is doing day and day regularly, is getting lot of revenue for that. For that, we have to give some certain in the for every month. Say suppose marketing person 1, marketing person 2. If you take all this thing, the person is generated this much revenue for particular month. So it should give that type of system, so that it will be a very helpful for IT people as well, so for MIS purpose also. Then second thing is direct cost codes, like a manufacturing of chemicals. What are the main products for the chemicals? And say it should be started with expenses like 2001, 2003. So then again the plant wise, say Dabaspeta, then machine number are 101. So that we can, if you prepare a code list for this, then it will be a very easy for in future in preparation of any MIS. For trend preparation, we have to create one each head for that. Overheads also, it is all, these are all belongs to the P&L only. This is the expenses portion, this is the revenue portion. This is the revenue portion. And balance sheet is item like a sundry debtors. But whenever we are creating suppliers as well as the debtors, these are the part of the balance sheet. All the customers, it will go to sundry debtors. Whatever the suppliers, whatever it may be, it will be go to the sundry creditors. Then whenever we are short terms, like whenever the loans we receive from the directors, then we have to look it under short term loans. And current liabilities is like VAT payable and TDS payable and all these provisions, and long term loans like banks has been again assets, keeping that one. Share capital, how much they invested, reserve money, then assets, current assets and cash, bank and advances, etc. etc. Now we'll go to next portion. Booking of bills. These are all again supply of material. So whenever we get any bill from the purchasing department, we have to take certain things in our mind, saying that from where the material is coming, whether it's from Karnataka, whether it is from outside of Karnataka. Based on that, that particular product cost has to go to the manufacturing cost only. That whatever the excise portion has to be accounted in SENVAT credit, excise output. So when you purchase any material outside of Karnataka, when against the supply of your CFOM, then 2% we have to pay to the party, and that 2 party will go to the outside of Bombay government. So this 2% you cannot take the credit as per the laws, as per the VAT. So this 2% you have to be the this is the expenses for you. So this third thing is that also we have taken credit CAT output. Then the second thing is supply of assets. Whenever we purchase assets like vehicle and some plant and machinery, some of the things we have to keep in mind. So exact cost what we have incurred, that has to be accounted in particular asset. But in some of the excise portion, if it is there, then 50% of credit can be taken in that particular month, and another 50% you cannot take that particular month, and it can be taken in next financial or first month. Then in VAT also, for plant and machinery, it's allowing by the Karnataka government 100%. In the same month you can take the on plant and machinery, but whatever the assets you are buying, like a building, and what are the materials used for that building, you cannot take that excise as well as the VAT credit for that. So accordingly, in most of these states like UP and everything, VAT 50% only they are availing in the as per deferred. That another 50% next financial in the month of April we can take this. Next, third thing, whenever the service providers they are submitting their bills, then certain conditions you have to see. See, service provider like supply of labor bills. Supply of labor. First thing, whenever this is a major problem in the most of the companies which they won't follow at all. And I have noticed labor of supply bill, sir, we have only 15, less than 15 as per ESRL. If it is below 15, I need not to supply ESI number. No way at all. Whenever the ESI are people, they won't speak at all. Whenever you are taking labor, you take it that 15, whatever the company is there, ESI number has been registered or not. So, as a primary, see, when as a primary, you are the responsible for the thing that ESI also has been paid from that company. TDS should be deducted. So when labor, whenever the labor supplied, so whatever the service tax, nowadays 25% only they are about to charge on that. On that say total labor charges plus service tax, then TDS should be deducted at the rate of 10%. Then service tax credit can be taken. Next thing is, whenever, one more thing is, fourth part is importing materials. Whenever you are importing such materials like from outside India, so separate account head should be created so that in balance sheet we have to separately mention so much of imported material we have consumed, and for that how much SENVAT duty you have paid, and even exchange people also what they are telling. Whenever you are importing, the whatever SENVAT credit is there on that duty won't available for that, but SENVAT credit you can take it. That is then you have to take the bill of original entry, then you have to take the SENVAT credit. And see, one more thing is, certain bills are there. See, certain bills, what they will do, they will send the documents through the bank and pay the bills after 90 days. So what happens in, say, suppose we will import the material in the month of February. So that the supplier might have been sent the bills to the bank on the due basis. So whenever, in that cases, what we'll do, we'll write a letter to bank saying that we are accepting the terms, condition, whatever is given by the importer, the supplier for us, import supplier, and we are obeying that said bill will be paid in the month of April. In that case, what will happen? So you are material you are taking upfront, but our material is already received. And what is the exact date when you received? You are booking the rate on that particular day. So whenever dollar goes and comes down, so as on 31st March, you have to create a how much gain you have gained, how much loss you have incurred for that. So you have to account it for that. Then, so for that you have at the 31st March you have to do the whatever the import bills dues are there. You have to calculate, and in miscellaneous income or expenses side, FEF gains and losses. Like that, we have to create one such account and we have to book a expense. If it is a income is generated, it will be a miscellaneous income. If it is a loss to the company, then it will go to the expenses portion. So one more thing, main portion is freight forwarding bill and CHA activity. See, most of the companies is nowadays busy activity. Each person cannot go to the port and do the things because of in Bangalore, and we are going to get importing the materials from the Japan or America. In that cases, it's what will happen, and each person cannot go to Tamil Nadu and wait for that, and we lose the manpower for that. In that cases, they will allocate CH activity so that we'll reimburse whatever the import dues and everything. And whatever the commission basis, this will be. In this cases, what is happening? That most of the CHA people, their reimbursement amounts they are taking, whatever the port dues as well as the CFS activity, they are taking reimbursement, and they are saying that this is, and most of the companies, they are least bothered what the activity is involved, because of having experience in this, and if you ask that original bills, then you will come to know. So some service tax portion also will be there for certain companies, like for 40 crores or 50 crores. So monthly it comes almost 1 lakh rupees. If you see that the reimbursement of like this port bills and everything. So even port activity also is governed by service tax. Even whenever the container comes to India, so they will unload that container on the trailer. That simultaneously it will be stored in that particular port for 3 days. Then storage charges will be there. Then unloading charges, apart from the storage charges, then service tax will be there. Then again it will go to the CFS charges. There also up to 15 days, and de-stuffing charges, stuffing charges. So many activities there which attack service tax, and they won't book this service tax, which most of the companies not at all aware, and they are losing the service tax portion. So that they can book this service tax portion correctly, they can take this service tax portion. So that their company may save almost 1 to 2 lakhs based on their volumes. Next thing is transporter's bill, accounted in separate head. And one more activity is, if the transporter is not able to give their PAN number, TDS has to be deducted 20%. And one more thing I wanted to bring, so most of this TDS activity, if you fail to recover this money from the said customers, the company is the responsible to pay from their packet as well as the interest. This is the major drawback. So third thing is, we have to service tax at the rate of 25% on the freight bill has to be paid by the company. This has to be paid, and up to 750 is exempted as well. One more thing is, if the said company is recognized by the DSIR. DSIR means Department of Science and Information Research. So as per the IT rules, when you calculate the MAT as well as the minimum alternate tax, this whatever you are incurring the expenses on research and development, so 200% tax is exempted. Say suppose if you incurred 40 lakhs in P&L, it is already expenses out as a 40 lakhs, but if they will add it back, then this whatever the 200%, they will give the benefit for this. Next thing is, one more thing is, we have, whenever we book certain expenses like consumables and printing and stationery, we cannot take any excise portion as well as the VAT portion on that. And one more thing is, petroleum products and as well as the paints, it is defined in the excise rules. We'll go to the next. So payments with the bank. Whenever we make the payment, select the bank. So balance we have to check. So pay the terms. So whenever, see nowadays production, this production department. So there is you make these payments, or these people are so in the purchase order they might have been mentioned as 60 days. They will ask, they wanted to they are asking for only 30 days itself only. Why we have to pay upfront 1 month itself only? In that cases, what we can demand, whatever the working capital interest, say nowadays 15% is there, almost annually. That much we will deduct and pay. If it is agreed, we will pay. Otherwise, we won't pay. One more thing is, if whenever we are paying advances against the services, we have to take care that TDS will be debited upfront, not after submitting the bill, as per the TDS. One more thing is buyer's credits and LC payments. So whenever buyer's credit comes to the payment department, first thing is we should not pay. So as per the sanction, bank sanctions, non-fund based these things. So where this import bills we can avail buyer's credit at the rate of 6 to 7%. That is LIBOR plus 200 to 300 maximum, which comes to 6%. Whereas working capital interest you are paying 15%. If you arrange the quotation from the foreign banks, and if it is you will get almost of 7% you can save on this. One more thing is LC payments also. Even we can avail, if it is LC is given to the outside party, outside India, that also after 90 days, whatever it may be, then that remaining 270 days, we can take the buyer's credit, subject to the quotation available with the foreign banks. One more thing is cash. Whenever the person is preparation of the cash voucher, always it should not be more than 20,000. As per the income tax rules, if you prepare any voucher more than 20,000, it is disallowed, subject to the purchase of any asset or land, payment to the farmers or government authorities. One more important issue is BRC. Most of the things is state. First, we have to get that particular bank statement, and first thing is whether receipts are cleared or not. So most of the cases, say suppose we'll take the statement as on 31st October. Say some of the checks as per your this thing, some of the checks you have deposited, still it will be under clearing. So most probably most of the micro checks will take 3 maximum days. Outstation checks, that is, it will take 15 days. International checks, it will take 21 working days. If it is beyond this portion, if the still checks is not received, cleared in the bank, you have to make a phone call to bankers so that you can reduce, say, if 1 crore still in the receipt and not given any credit by the bank. So, more if micro check. What is the reason for that? It's happened recently. One of the government check, excise check for rupees of 20 lakhs. I deposited in the bank, particular Friday. So I supposed to get the credit on Monday morning. I waited, 20 lakh rupees, not gone. Then later, after investigation, I came to know this 20 lakhs due to some signature problem, due to bank's problem, they didn't give the credit. Then again I requested the bank people to reprocess the same. Then I got the credit. So for this 20 lakhs for 4 days, what is the interest we lose? And third thing is, whatever the checks, whatever we deposited, whether it has been bounced, whenever check bounce, we have to intimate to the particular marketing department who will be the responsible. In the case that that company is same scenario for last 6 months, then we have to blacklist this company and inform to IT department so that we should not accept any checks in future, so that it should not be a problem in future, and against we should file a case against this party. So whenever the bank charges are there, so bank will debit, so that this portion also we have to account it. But some of the cases we issue the checks to the party like service providers and everything, and some people still, some government authorities, they won't present the checks also. As per the new rule, 3 months is the maximum limit which it will be there. Otherwise, it will expire. In that cases, we have to inform to the particular customer, please present it. Otherwise, we have to revalidate the said check and reissue that. Then bank transaction, coming to the portion of bank and treasury and forex transaction. So, whenever we are importing material through LCs, certain things we have to take care. Is it domestic or international LC? So, terms and everything, we have to get it from beginning itself fully. Indent, PO, terms, expiry of LC, negotiable terms, when they will produce the document to the bank, afterwards. In these cases, what I request to the people, because of my last 15 years experience, we have to take a draft LC. Whenever you prepare the draft LC and send it to the supplier, import supplier, then let them get satisfied, then only we'll issue that. In that what, once the without watching all these things, when you prepare and send it to them, so later they will say that this problem is there, this problem is there, this terms and condition is not problem, and they will say that when you request your banker all these things, for each amendment they will charge $25. It will be a major problem. In certain cases, 10 years before, I faced this type of problem in my life. I changed 15 times the LC. Even bank also charged 15 times amendment charges, because that emails were going simultaneously. They are also new, but I am very, that's the moment onwards I am sending the draft. Once the said draft is okayed by the supplier, then we have to inform to the bank saying that is it okay, this is okay, and we have, as per the bank, it has to be registered, it has to be documented by sale date. Second thing is domestic bills. Most of the things, most of the manufacturing units, they are taking the materials after taking through banks. So most of the suppliers, they won't, they don't have the much credit worthiness. So what they don't have a good faith on manufacturing companies. So what they do, you will say in 60 days, then afterwards you will pay on 90 days. I don't have that much credit limit. So in that case, what I will do, I will submit the LR copy as well as the originals to my bank, and that bank will submit to your bank. You collect the bills saying that that particular day, that is 90th day after receiving my bill, you pay the said bill. So we'll make in that arrangement that supplier will supply the bills to their banker will supply to our banker. So our banker will supply that, sir, we have received this said document, you give me the acceptance, then we will release this LR. In that cases, we will take a copy of them, what is they are charging. So most of the supplier also they will do. So when after issuing the purchase order, maybe it's 1 lakh rupees. After that they will raise the bill of exchange rupees for 1,20,000 rupees. When you see the calculation, it won't mismatch with the PO. So in that case, some of the cases like excise, additional duties, which may be in excise and additional duties, it's not a problem of it's a problem of government. So it cannot be punishable to the supplier. So in that case, we have to amend our PO also, so that it should not be a problem for us also. If it is rate difference, we should intimate to the bank saying that I am not accepting this said document, please send it. If it is okay, take that LR, and we should make the future payment in our ERP system. Say that today we received on, say suppose it is 20th, we received the that. After 90 days means approximately January, February, we have January, February, March 10th or 20th we have to make the payment. So 20th payments only we have to, some of the softwares they won't allow. In that case we have to make certain Excel sheet like that. In particular day this much bill we have to make the payment and so and so. In buyer's credit also. So in LC payments 90 days or 120 days, whatever it may be. This LC date 120 days means particularly 120 days only we have to make payment. This is the main problem with this BC and buyer's credit as well LC payment. If avoid one day also, if the credit worthiness of the manufacturer will go drastically, then it will be a problem for future for credit ratings and everything. So one more thing, export bills transaction. See, whenever you are selling any product outside of the country, in that cases, what will happen? Invoice, packing list, bill of origin, SDF, that means self declaration form saying that it don't have the dangerous goods, it's not hazardous, all these things. And GSIC, what is the collection terms? Some of the things saying that some parties they have to pay the money and take the original bills. Then itself only court will allow to take the material. In some of the payment, some of the parties say that after 60th day also. So saying that in earlier what we discussed for these domestic bills is the same mechanism will applicable here also. So 60 days means they will give the letter to the bank saying that 60 days exactly on 60 days you debit, and on that case they will issue the bills to them so that they can receive the materials. After collecting one more thing is, after collection of funds, you have to intimate the bank saying that the said amount we received against this invoice and everything. See, when we send this bills list of bills along with the covering load, so what bank will give one unique code or FUGC 1234 541, all these things. Based on that, what bank says, foreign funds you have received against this reference number. As per FEMA, if you cannot receive the funds whenever you want, they should be against exactly supply of materials or supply of services, whatever it may be. So after collection of done, we have to intimate to the bank saying that I said the amount have been received. I request you to issue the BRC, Bank Realization Certificate. Based on this BRC, only we can get the excess amount credit we can get from the excise department. So without BRC we cannot get any excise portion, which will be required for advance license and etc. etc. One more thing is import bills. Based on the some of the import suppliers, what they will do, they will send the documents to our bank saying that whatever the purchase order terms is there, DA, date of acceptance for DA 45 days, DA against collections, DA 90 days, all these things. In that case, your debit letter we have to issue to the bank saying that particular date please kindly debit. It's a formal letter only. And while making the payment, certain things we have to give to the bankers also as per FEMA. And Form A1, what is the which chapter you are going to import, what are the times when you are going to receive the material, what is the CAF or COB, all the things will be there. Annexure 5 means most of the things, what is Annexure 5. And one more thing is declaration as per the new rule. Foreign exchange gain or everything, it won't applicable to banks like that. Like that, one declaration also is there. That format also has to be signed by the director and sent to the bank. When you make, one more thing is, as earlier I told, buyer's credit. When we take the buyer's credit for these import bills, it will be a great saving to the company, which will come to 7 to 5%. So for raw materials, you can take a credit of 360 days from the bill of lading, but assets 3 years up from bill of lading. But certain things, if economy is not there, some certain things, if India is in cost of then it gives the good value. But last year it was there for 47%, 47 rupees, now 54 rupees, and it's sometimes it's beneficial also if you are equilibrium, exports also more and imports also more, it will take that equilibrium. Then you can take the buyer's credit easily. If you are taking the buyer's credit, importing all the material, then it will be a problem for availing the bank credit. If they are okay with buyer's credit for whatever the situation of India is there, then they have to. Next thing is preparation of salary. See, salary preparation, most of the people they think is HR they will create. But as per statutory audits, even accounts people also should know what are the activities is there in that. But in salary, what is the salary he is getting, and PF, second gross salary up to that one, then PF. Most of the companies are paying at the rate of 12%. Some of the companies they are under the slab of 720 rupees, so that the PF portion it won't go more than 720%. In such cases, 12% wherever is there, and employer also has to be contributed 12%. Say in that 12% also 8.33% it will go to the pension, and employer contribution, that one 3.61, subject to the maximum of 465 rupees. So suppose if the person is getting 1 lakh rupees, 12,000 rupees, say in the pension fund it will go only for 65. The remaining amount will go to the pension fund. And apart from that, this salary you are deducting in employee contribution, this 12%. This employer contribution has to be accounted through JVs at the end of the month, in this particular month. At the time, what is the administration charges? 1.65%. That also it has to be accounted in that. And one more thing is, due date of PF is 15th due date. So certain things are there that 3 days before itself only you have to make the payment. You should pay by SBI check only. Otherwise, if it is 1 day delay also, they will put the interest. In certain cases, they have deducted the PF from the employee account, not paid to the PF department. In that case, 18% interest you have to pay. Apart from that, if it is more than 6 months, if it is continuously not paid, that authorities will come and 30% penalty they will put that. Apart from that, whatever the assets are there on the company name, they will attach for that. Because recently one of the company in Pena, it's happened like this. In ESIC, certain things are there, up to 20,000 rupees for gross salary. All are under 20,000 rupees gross salary are about to deduct at the rate of 1.75% on the gross amount from the employee account. Employer has to compensate from his account 4.75%, total of 6.75%. What is the due date is 21%. And one more thing is, whenever the company they start, whether ESIC registration is there or not, and ESIC hospital is there or not, we have to see. And some of the cases, some villages and everything, and ESIC is not covered also, we can forget about that. And we have to intimate one letter saying that, so in that village I have a factory, but you don't have ESI factory. If there is not replied, then you can take a chance on that. Even while preparation of salary, TDS as discussed earlier, as per prescribed the income tax, so TDS has to be deducted from the individual salary, and the same has to be paid on 7th. Profession tax, as per Karnataka, if the gross salary is more than 15,000 to 20,000 rupees, 150 rupees has to be deducted, 20,000 rupees and above, 200 rupees has to be deducted, and apart from that, bonus also, the same rules applicable there also, and it has to be paid on 20th of every month. Next thing is RICO. So issue of credit notes and debit notes. So while issuing the credit notes, certain things we have to take care. Whether which party we have to issue. Whether we have received that said stock or not. Why? What is the reason? Whether is it just to show the figures for in that particular month, they have done like by the marketing department. We have to bring it to the management so that we should avoid this type of things. It will be a bad mark for doing the genuine transactions. Why we are issuing? Whether if it is that product has been rejected, why? Means product has don't have certain quality or quantity, whatever it may be. So which department is responsible for that? We should mention. In my last 15 years, I designed in such a way. So whose problem also we should mention, so that there should not be any inter-departmental issues. But always credit note has to be approved by the directors, not by the lower management. One more thing is debit note. So in these cases, what will happen? Then some suppliers, what will happen? They will invoice for 1000 units, but supply only 990 units. But 10 units we have to deduct. In that case, we have to write one debit note along with certain letters, and it should debit to the supplier party along with the excise as well as VAT credited. So that that letter also should go to the party. It should be accepted. Later, only debit note raised from your end and not sent to the party, then your ledger will show something else there. Then ledger will show something. One more thing is I wanted to bring your notice is most of the ledgers, suppliers as well as the debtors, all the ledgers has to be sent to the respective parties and get the certifications, get the balance confirmation with the respective parties, so that it will be a good audit for the company. And whenever, come back to debit notes. One more thing is, some of the companies having sister concerns like that, and expenses will be, they will say, HOD will say, you pay from your packet. That in training I am sending one guy, you pay from you are also going, no? You pay from that. What will happen? Because of HOD, all these things, so I will pay. But as per Income Tax Act, what it says, that expenses has to be booked by them for that guy. Why you have incurring that one? So let them bear that one. In that case, debit note you have to send it to the particular sister concern and credit it to your, because already expenses. One more thing is prepaid expenses. See, nowadays, most of the things like a license fees, not license fees, certifications, subscriptions, road tax, insurance, factory license, all these things, 3 years you are upfront, you are making premium. Recently I paid one 3,60,000. I paid 3,60,000 I paid as a factory license. When I paid March 12. So what happened in that case? You are paying as per financial year, you are paying only 30,000 rupees for that particular financial year. Rest of the things, remaining 3,30,000, it has to be accounted as prepaid expenses, so which will be as a part of current assets. And reverse that only 30,000, sorry, for 3 years, no? 12,000 only it has to be expenses. Rest of the amount, whatever it may be, 360 minus 12, 348. It has to be prepaid expenses. On the 1st April of next financial year, that 12,000 into 12, that is 1.424, it has to be accounted in expenses account by JV. That remaining amount, you mention in the JV is particular, this has been amount is being transferred to the normal expenses, so that you should not create any problems in future. Like the same thing, factory license and insurances, insurances on vehicle, insurance on plant and machinery, insurance on assets, insurance on land. All this, if you take almost company might have been paying almost 12 lakhs to 20 lakhs. In that, if you particularly, if you don't know the concept, this then losses will incur. Then come back to the RICO. Now payments also you have done, invoice also you have done, but at the end of the month, particular month, say 31st, you cut off and tell them to stop everything. And certain things we have to take. In such a way, I am going to tell you, if you prepare in such a way, it will be helpful for statutory filings also, for MIS purpose also. Both the things it will help. See, you have generated suppose 300 invoices. In that case, first, how much bills you have generated, whether it should be numbered, it means increasing number value, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. As per Income Tax Act, say suppose that D001, the same number should not be reallocated for any other invoice number. As per, otherwise they disallow the things. So certain things we have to take care, and you have to give very clearly. Export, how many invoices you have raised. There is no excess portion as well as the VAT portion on that. How much products you sold in dollars or whatever it may be. It will be helpful. You mention both the terms as well as how much foreign income you earn in terms of country wise as well as region wise. In certain cases, as per balance sheet, Schedule 6, you have to give certain country, Europe, how much you bill. As per America, how much you bill. In Southeast Asia, how much. Once if you prepare this month-wise, everything, it will be easy for year-wise also. Just we have to update at the end of the things, that's all. And whenever you prepare this RICO, certain things you have to. Interstate sales, how much? State-wise sales, how much? Product-wise as well as And one more thing, VAT 5%, how much? CST 2%, how much? In interstates also, some of the cases, the customers, those who don't have the TIN number itself, is supposed to charge the full percent, that is 14.5%. Otherwise, bad people won't leave and they will charge the penalty on you along with the interest. This is also over. If, in state wise also 5.5% or 14.5% cost. Then excise portion, what is the product cost? What is the excise portion? That is also 12%, then 2%, then 1%. You have to split it. VAT, there is no problem. VAT is whatever it may be. Then VAT is how much we have created. At the same time, whenever you issue the credit note, the excise portion also has to be credited back. Again, VAT also you have to credit card, make a separate note on that, and send a report to the production marketing team saying that this is the details of and marketing team as well as commercial people. So get the things done. The same thing, excise portion also should be reflected in ARV1. Actually, as per excise service tax, 7th every month they have to pay. So ARV1 also has to be paid every month on 10th. One more thing, whenever you are booking the bills, as earlier I told, that excise portion, excise input portion, whatever is accumulated, you have to do a recall also. That ARV1 also the same thing is reflected or not. Then inter-departmental reconciliation should be done, and whether this bill of entry, whenever import materials are there, that already told, CENVAT also can be availed. That also ARV1 it will come, whether they have taken or not. And what are the difference? Most of the cases, if exports are more, credit side will be there in excise portion as well as VAT also. If exports are little bit less and domestic sales are more, but company has to pay from their packet. In that case, for excise, 7th is the due date, VAT is the 20th is the due date. At the same time, service tax. So whenever you are giving any services, say any product analysis or any repairing services, you might have been taken the service tax ST003, you have to file and take another number for that. Service tax input credit you have to take, while even see whatever the bills you are coming, that mobile bills as well as the insurance premium what you are paying, even labor charge what you are taking the rate, professional charges, these are all governed by the service tax. We should not leave. One more thing is I wanted to bring this earlier I told the CHA activities and reimbursement of expenses. There also service tax. Why I am telling, most of the manufacturing companies losing money in that portion. We should not forget that. So pass the JD as I told, due date is 7, and returns also we have to pay every 6 months. That is October 25th as well as April 25th is the deadline for it. So VAT also I told in the same way, pass the JV. And one more thing we have to keep it in mind, whenever you are importing, whenever you are purchasing any material from outside of Karnataka which attracts entry tax, the material which you are buying, again CFA, that 2% you are paying to them, that you cannot take the credit, but it will go to the product cost itself only. Second thing is, certain things, some assets like plant and machinery, everything, you are buying from outside of Karnataka. So in that case, what will happen? You have to pay entry tax for capital assets 2%, and some petroleum products like petrol, diesel, furnace oil, all these things, 5% you have to pay, and machine parts, all these things also 5% you have to pay. Otherwise, VAT people, they won't give. Credit notes. So this credit notes also is the biggest problem, and marketing people, they keep on, they will tell you issue this credit note, that this credit note. To avoid this one, how many credit notes we have issued in that particular month? Party wise, we have to see how much credit notes we have issued to the party wise. You say particularly for A, we issued 5 to 10 credit notes. What is the necessity to give that credit note? What is this thing? And we should, who is the concerned person? We should take to the management notice, and in one of my friend's company it's happened. Some 5% commission and everything they have issued, almost 10 to 20% amount they issued the credit notes in the form of the. So we should reduce this credit notes. Why? Whose problem? Quality control problem, production problem, some batch problems and everything. In most of the things, while preparation of manufacturing cost, some batches will get spoiled. We should bring into the raw material cost in separate head level. Batches spoiled. How much we are losing? So if you bring to all this thing to the management, so that so they can put some certain specialized people, so that they can reduce this type of things, so that it will create a profit to the company. One more thing is aging debtors. So this will give two purposes. What are the receivables on particular trade, export wise or domestic? We have to, from the invoice date, we have to run the aging report. Nowadays, most of the ERPs are giving 30 days, 60 days, 90 days or 120 days. And most of the banks won't, if any working capital limits they have taken, more than 91 days, they will disallow that amount. Which will be a problem. In that case also, we should also check, so that we should get the funds below 90 days, so that we should not pay more interest also. Even if it is 90 days or 120 days, what is the reason? What is the why they are not paying? We have to present in marketing, so that we can get that particular bills in at a time. So one more thing is aging of stock. See, most of the things which will help to the raw material consumption. What is the particular month opening balance? How much material purchased in that particular month? What is the closing balance? If you get it, opening balance plus purchase minus closing balance, which will give the consumer figure for that particular. Each item wise you can get it, so that we'll get the raw material cost also. So which will help for, I will come back to you later in MS question, this how it will help. This portion by Amplin, this will be for working capital limits and everything. This aging stock also we have to take it based on the invoice reports. And when we purchase that 30 days below or 60 days below, 90 days or 120, when we receive exactly 360 days. Most of the chemicals will alive only for 2 to 3 years itself only. If it is beyond 3 years old, it is expired. In that cases, we have to throw that. So these are all non-moving current assets. We have to take it. We should not take any chance, and we should dispose it. Later, it should be a problem for pollution control also. The next thing is plant-wise assets. As earlier told, assets also has to be created like a branch wise code as whenever we purchase one asset, we have to create a asset code for each asset, vehicle number wise, or see certain things are there in assets. Land, second is plant and machinery, lab accessories, office appliances, furniture, computers, and some intangible assets are there like patents, license fees. License fees as patents can be depreciated after 5 years, and this plant and machinery 13.9% that they are taking in computers and everything, 40% depreciation we are applying, and land there is no depreciated value, it's always it is appreciated only. Plant and machinery 13.91%. So when I told that invoice report, whatever the revenue we generate product wise, and when we link with this asset wise how much we generated. Say suppose one asset we brought today, so that asset capacity is only 2000 quantity it will produce, but it produces only 1000. What are the reasons behind that? We have to give the management report saying that why, what is the major problem in that, how we can improve that asset utilization. Last question is MIS. So after ending all these things, so we have to revenue. Already discussed party wise, product wise, quantity wise, how much we produced, and some of the product quantity volumes we generated, highest customer. At the same time, who has brought that sales? Like from the marketing department, we should appreciate that type of people also, and we should tell to our HR department so that they can take care. And we should not, the company should not use that type of persons also. Second thing is raw material cost. Say suppose one alpha domestic, what are the sub-product is utilized as per business? Say suppose to prepare 10 kg of alpha domestic, it requires sulfuric acid of 50 kgs, and some citral it is having 20 kgs. So when they process certain things, it will give the 10 kg. It's example. It's like, I'm not going in depth details for that. So that certain product and what are the consumption material for raw material consumed, we have to see a product to product wise. So that where we are losing main money, how much it's correct product cost we are getting or not, how much power we have consumed. So whenever we prepare the budget, so there are certain things we might have taken, how much power it will take, approximately furnace oil, diesel, whatever the oversight, whatever the furnace direct labor involved, right, important transportation, commissions, license fees, packing stocks, administrative factory and conveyance, marketing, communication, goods and material, printing and stationery, repair and maintenance of plant and machinery, insurance, audit, interest charge, bank charges, depreciation, everything. Based on that, the company will prepare one budget figures, so that if they are not able to achieve that revenue figure, they will incur the bottom line. Otherwise, they have to get a 1 lakh rupees. Say suppose 25 lakhs business, $25 lakhs revenue, means this all put together 24 lakhs it should be. The profit should be 1 lakh. If you are not achieving these 25 lakhs, most of the apart from this manufacturing cost, most of the product this overheads remain constant. So ultimately it should become a loss to the company. In that, most of the company, what they will do, after completion of every month, that is 31st or every month or 1st or 2nd month, they will close the activity. On 5th, they will take all the figures, how much they have achieved, what is the budget figures, what is the difference in between each head they will see. These are the management tactics. They'll call the particular heads and this is why you are not got this much revenue. What will be the reason? Is it, will you, that whatever the deficit is there, will you achieve in next month? So that there should not be any loss in future. Otherwise, it will be a problem for them. Okay, thanks.